Senior 2 class, welcome to E-Light platform. We are going to continue from where we ended last week. Last week we discussed everything to do with the transport in ants, and we discussed the importance or the need for transport systems in large organisms. We saw that large organisms, they have a small surface area to volume ratio. Therefore, they need a system to transport and distribute essential substances like water, like modified food substances, to areas where they are required. Even today, we are going to look at transporting in animals. Good enough, we know the need for the transport systems. Today, we are going to see the transport systems in animals. In animals, the transport systems, there are mainly two. We have the blood circulatory system and also the lymphatic system. With the blood circulatory system, this one transports blood. Somewhere we shall discuss the components of blood and also the reasons as to why blood must be transported within the animals. Now, with the blood circulatory system, it is divided into two. We have what we call an open system and also a closed system. What we call an open system, that's where blood or this fluid which transports essential substances is not enclosed in tubes. The blood is not enclosed in vessels. However, when the blood is produced or pushed by the heart, it bathes the cells. It occupies spaces within the body known as sinuses. These sinuses, they are collectively known as hemocyl. And an example of a living organism where we have an open system whereby blood is not transported within vessels is an insect. In the drawing, we have a structure of an insect, an open saturation in an insect. If you look at this drawing, you can see that here we have the heart, the location of the heart of an insect. Then somewhere here we have the aorta. However, these are spaces known as sinuses, collectively known as hemocyl. You find that due to contraction and relaxation of the abdominal muscles, blood is pushed from the posterior end to the anterior end, this side. Then it is released by the aorta and bathes the tissues within the abdomen, thorax, and also the head. However, blood is able to go back through small openings known as ostia. Therefore, in such a system where blood bathes the tissues, the cells, and this blood is not transported within vessels, is known as an open circulatory system, because blood is not enclosed within vessels. Secondly, we have a closed circulatory system. In such a system, blood is transported within tubes known as vessels. However, this one is mainly in vertebrates. We are also going to categorize it into two. We have what we call the single saturation and also the double saturation. As we have seen that in a closed system, blood is transported within vessels after being pumped by the heart. If it's a single saturation, it means that the blood passes through the pumping organ once for a single circulation. This is where blood flows through the heart once to complete a cycle. This system is found in fish and it involves a two-chambered heart. We shall see that in some organisms, the heart is made up of 4 chambers. But in a single saturation, where blood passes through the heart once for a single saturation, the heart is made up of 2 chambers. We have the atrium and also the ventricle. Let us have a look at this drawing. This is a simple illustration. This is the atrium, this is the ventricle of the heart. Blood from the heart is pumped to the gills. When it reaches the gills, it is oxygenated. It picks up the oxygen. You know, this blood contains hemoglobin. We shall see that in some animals, the oxygen carrying pigment is not a hemoglobin. However, in this condition, what picks oxygen is the hemoglobin. Still, on the same drawing, we look at a single saturation in the fish. Somewhere here, we're having the gills. These are the gills. This is the heart. This is the atrium. This is the ventricle. Blood is pumped by the heart. Then it becomes oxygenated. It receives the oxygen. Then pumped back to all parts of the body. However, you find that in such a system, by the time blood reaches the other side, is at a very low pressure. That's why such organisms with a single saturation, they are not so active like organisms that use double saturation. Oxygenated blood moves from the gills to the rest of the body, where it loses oxygen and picks carbon dioxide. Then deoxygenated blood then returns from the rest of the body to the atrium of the heart. Next, we are going to look at a double saturation. In a double saturation, we shall see that blood passes through the heart twice. We shall see that blood is pumped to the lungs, then it receives the oxygen, then pumped back to the heart. From the heart, then is pumped to all parts of the body. Therefore, in such a system, we have four chambers of the heart, and we are going to divide the circulation into systemic circulation and also pulmonary circulation. This is a drawing. This is the heart, and we are seeing somewhere here we have the pulmonary saturation. Pulmonary saturation, that's when blood is pumped to the lungs. Then it becomes oxygenated. It receives the oxygen. If you look at this color is red, meaning that this blood which passes through this vessel, which is an artery, contains the oxygen. Then to all parts of the body. In the parts of the body, these tissues, they use the oxygen. Then blood becomes deoxygenated, then pumped back to the heart. You find that this one is called the pulmonary saturation. Pulmonary saturation. It's because these vessels that transport blood to the lungs, they are called the pulmonary vessels. This one is known as the pulmonary artery, the only artery which transports the oxygenated blood. This one which brings back is called the pulmonary vein, the only vein that transports blood which is oxygenated. This one is known as pulmonary saturation. Then this one is known as systemic circulation. Pulmonary saturation, this is the flow of blood from the heart to the lungs and from the lungs back to the heart. It involves pulmonary artery and also the vein. As I've told you, that the pulmonary artery is the only artery which transports blood which is deoxygenated. You know, in most cases, all arteries transport blood which is oxygenated, apart from the pulmonary artery. Same applies to the pulmonary vein. It is the only vein which transports blood which is oxygenated. Then systemic circulation which supplies blood all parts of the body. Okay, now you find that in such a system, blood is first pumped to the lungs, then by the time it comes back to the heart, the pressure is reduced. Therefore, the heart pumps again this blood all parts of the body, such that the high blood pressure is maintained, such that the tissues get the oxygen and also the food materials, for example, the glucose and others which are being transported efficiently. However, as we have seen in a single saturation, that blood from the heart goes to the gills, then from the gills to all parts of the body. By the time it reaches all parts of the body, you find that blood is at a very low pressure. However, in a double saturation, blood is ever maintained at high pressure. Now, we have looked at the open system and also a system which is closed, whereby in a closed system, blood is transported within vessels. However, in an open system, blood is not transported within vessels. However, it is pumped into sinuses, where it bathes the cells and also other organs. Now, using that information, the knowledge of the open system and also closed system, you can come up with some of the differences between open and the closed system. Also, we have looked at the single saturation, where blood is pumped once for a complete cardiac cycle, then in a double saturation, where blood is pumped twice for a complete cardiac cycle. Using the knowledge behind single saturation and double saturation, you can come up with some of the differences between double and single saturation. Thank you for watching this video. If you have liked the video, subscribe. I'm also going to leave you with some of the questions I'll be able to upload on our platform. You'll be able to answer the questions. For anything, you can comment. Have a good day.
Okay.